All right, we'll turn it loose.
Yeah, I just want to start off. Coach Stoops wanted me to lead off with Devin will play this weekend. He's fully available and we'll be ready to rock.
Questions?
Mark said yesterday that when he watched the film, maybe the run game was more efficient than he initially thought walking off Saturday. What did you kind of evaluate when you went back and watched it?
Just playing against the defense that does create and cause some issues from a targeting standpoint. From when you're on blocks and then all of a sudden somebody else shows up, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. And I forget how many yards we even really rushed for. It was just over 100, I think it was. And that's obviously we'd like to be above that. But at the end of the day, we had some really good hits and we had some just too many negatives. Really, at the end of the day, was executing to just even get 2 to 3 in some of those times that we ended up getting -1 to 4. You start off the game with a -2 yard run is difficult. And we had some really good hits, and we kind of tried a lot of different schemes, honestly. Like, we didn't have a ton in because we knew some of the issues they presented. But, at the end of the day, we have to execute more consistently is really what it comes down to. I know it's probably gets monotonous to hear, but, we have to execute things a little bit better, and that is a good run defense. It's a frustrating defense. It's a frustrating defense to call plays against and to scheme, but, we did enough, I guess, at the end of the day to win.
Speaking of defenses that cause issues, what do you see from Alabama?
Just very, very, very talented, very well coached. You have to be extremely disciplined in your execution. You have to be connected to blocks. I mean, that is one of the biggest things that we took from the Georgia game obviously a few weeks ago, was that we can't just get to blocks and think that that's good enough. We have to sustain blocks. We have to stay, sticky and stay connected with using good fundamentals and techniques in it with our hands inside to not get any penalties. In the pass rush, obviously they have elite pass rushers on the outside. I think the freshman number 2, the safety, is a heck of a football player. They're very well rounded all the way throughout the course of the defense. So huge challenge for us, but great opportunity for us to get better.
As a play caller, Liam, when they have 2 edge rushers,
yeah,
Braswell and Turner both getting after it, how difficult is it to prepare for a team like that?
That very. Really, you have to make sure you have ball coming out situations to where the quarterback can play fast, while also, if you do want to try to push the ball down the field, having some chips and nudges and things like that to be able to help our guys out. It's not that I don't have confidence in Marcus and Flax. They've done a fantastic job for the most part of this season. It's more just, hey, we have to put our guys in the best possible position to be successful when we do want to push the ball down the field and give our guys the best chance. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and as a play caller, you have to pick and choose your spots, right? You have to make sure you're calling those plays where we do want to push the ball at the right times and maybe utilize some different protections to be able to give us that opportunity.
Obviously, Georgia was a huge challenge, and you didn't play as well as you wanted to play against that challenge. Do you sense from the guys that, hey, we kind of get a second chance here. Here's an opportunity against a really good team and defense to show what we could do?
Yeah, I do. I think that the way that the guys came out today was a great mindset and mentality to come out and practice. There was no lollygagging or the energy was high. It was pretty crisp in a lot of ways. It's Tuesday, so there's things that we have to clean up, and we've been doing terrible Tuesdays for a reason, to give tough looks and difficult looks to create confusion and communication. So I think the guys do feel that way. I think there is a sense that they want to prove and show that we can execute better than we did against an elite defense like Georgia and an elite defense that's coming into town on Saturday.
You guys were asking more from Devin. He showed some flashes earlier, but wasn't consistent enough the last 2 weeks. How impressed are you with the way he's turned the corner and really delivered consistently?
Yeah, he was really playing very well early on in that football game. I mean, he was especially the first few drives. He did some really good things, and on the drive before the half that we really needed to go down and punch one in, and he makes the playoff schedule to Tavion on the sideline, which was a huge play on third down. And then down in the red zone, he makes a great throw to Dane on the slant for the touchdown. I mean, the throw to Demi on the pop pass on the first touchdown of the game was elite ball placement. There's obviously some plays we'd all like back, right? But I thought for the most part he was doing a great job until he ended up getting banged up. And we had the one in the red zone where we had to take the field goal that he scrambled around and found Dane in the back of the end zone. I mean, that was a fantastic play. And you hit that one, you got 28 points on the board, and you're feeling a little bit better about where things are at. And obviously we were all frustrated, but I was proud of the way he was executing for the most part throughout the game.
After Ray had that big game against Florida, have you seen teams really scheme more toward him to try to stop the run game from being so effective?
Yeah, I think that you've seen a little bit more, some heavier boxes. You've seen safeties being a little bit more aggressive, and that's why we tried to hit the deep post to Tavion on the fourth play of the game to loosen them up. We tried to push the ball down the field earlier to try to soften things up, but I do believe people are trying to focus in on him. He's a really good player, and we've got to continue to give him some space and room to create and to be the player that he is. So I have full confidence that we can get it going again. It's just a matter of, we have to do it. We have to prove it.
And Devin's not the biggest guy in the world. I don't know if he's the shiftiest guy. What makes him so hard to tackle?
I don't know. It's weird. He's a little, what's the word? He's slippery, right? He's a little slippery, and he's played a lot of football, and he knows how to almost use leverage or momentum against people, to where he's got a rusher coming, and he knows how to utilize their momentum and his to be able to push them off. And he's a little bit stronger, I think, than people give him credit for, especially in his lower half. So it was great to see. And really on the first couple drives where we hit the shallow crosses early on to Tavion and Dane on third downs, those were throws that I don't want to say we missed against Tennessee, but we worked on getting those throws on those shallow crosses coming across. I mean, I thought he was seeing the field really well, and it's weird. I don't know, John. I mean, it's one of those things where he's done that, though, right? He's done that kind of throughout the season, and in those situations, he's really helped us move the chains in those situations where he's had to play off schedule.
As a play caller, are weeks like this fun for you to get to try to scheme against a really good defense?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge because you know that I don't know how many times you can really go to the well on something throughout the game, right? And you have to maybe run the same type of plays that you try to run each week because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, but maybe out of different personnel groupings, different formations, motion shifts to give them a different picture pre-snap to ultimately run your offense. And knowing throughout the game that, well, you might only have one shot at that play because they'll typically get those things corrected and coached in the game. And they have very smart football players with a lot of experience and obviously very well coached to get things fixed and corrected live. So it's definitely one of those games that you feel like you have to have, a good amount of, bullets in the chamber to be able to go play.
Liam, you scored another opening drive touchdown Saturday. Since you've been here, that's been something y'all have done a lot of. Mm-hmm. What do you think has led to that, and how important is it when you're playing an opponent like Alabama to get off to a fast start?
Huge. And that was what was so, I guess, frustrating about last week was, right, we go down and score, and we have been efficient on those opening drives, and then you get the ball back and you're moving it again, and we had an opportunity to go up 14-0, and we end up stalling out after a couple good plays on that third down about midfield. And if you go down and have that consistency and execute, I don't really know what the answer is why, because it's been good in a lot of those instances where we have gone down and scored on opening drives. And it's not even really fully scripted. Those are just more so priority calls that we're trying to get to early, and maybe we can do a better job. I can do a better job as a play caller, maybe coming back to some of those plays because they do work early on in the game. But to answer your question, it is extremely important for us to get ahead early in terms of our execution, our operation. If we can go down and be efficient early on, it's typically a good sign that we're doing the right things. But for us, it's sustaining execution, sustaining good play calls, timely calls throughout the game for our guys to have an opportunity to execute and succeed throughout.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks,
next-
Liam.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, one more.
Nick Saban's got that coaching tree that's got the limbs kind of all over all levels of football. Do you have any experiences with some of those guys, and is there kind of a common trait denominator?
Yeah, you look at obviously coaching against Georgia 2 different times, and Kirby Smart and that staff, and you look at the way that they very similar structure in some ways, but it's the way they play. It's the way that they play the game, the way that they strain, they shed blocks, they play the game ultimately in a way that you respect. It's just a respect level of how the guys are coached, what they're doing out in the field. A lot of the scheme is similar in some ways, but that tree and the way those guys play, you can tell that it stems from probably his evolution, right? Of a lot of things that he's taught them, how to, coach or play and get those guys ready. There's just a tremendous respect level that I have for him and for that staff and for, a lot of the coaches that he's put out there. And it's more so just their style of play that you can tell is very similar.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.